breathing is something that we have naturally. That is the first thing that connects us with life. It's the last thing that connects us with life. It's the last thing we do before we depart from this life. So it's something so much ours that we don't understand what's the great revolution that we hold within. So breathing is the only vital function we can control at will, and in that lies its magic.
Welcome to a new episode of Most Memorable Journeys. My guest today is somebody that I have wanted on this podcast for a long time. And there was always either she was away, and then I thought, now it's no point in contacting her, so it's because she's away. But I got her this time, and I am very happy to speak to her. She is so many things. I'm going to mention a few and we'll find out more. She is the CEO and founder of Grit. She is a visionary, a personal and corporate advisor. She is a psychotherapist and a speaker. She is a breathing trainer and an author of several books. And she has won many awards, and we'll find out a lot more about her now. Welcome to Most Memorable Journeys, Viola Edward.
Hi, thank you for the invitation.
I am so glad you're here, and I don't really know where to start with you because there is so much. But one thing that has always fascinated me about you is where you were born and what you are, because you were born in South America, but you are actually Lebanese, aren't you?
No, actually, I was born in Middle East. I was born in Iraq, where I lived for my first 5 years. My father was Iraqi Assyrian. So my first language was Aramaic, Assyrian, it was not Arabic. And then, unfortunately, he passed away very early when I was 3. So then mom moved us all to Lebanon. She's Lebanese. So I lived 8 years in Lebanon. And then we moved to Venezuela in early 70s, just before the war. She was quite an intuitive woman, and she always take us away from disasters and from always was intuitive to move us on time. So we didn't see the disaster of the war that lasted 15 years in Lebanon. And then I grew up in the colorful, beautiful Venezuela from 13 until 43, that I came to Cyprus. So I married Michael, who's British, but born in Cyprus. And he had a house here, and he has part of his heart here. So I've been living in Cyprus for 22. This is my year number 23.
What a mixture.
If you're making the sum, I'm 66.
That's okay. That's wonderful. I'm 65. So it takes one to know one. We are young at heart. But listen, do you remember anything of the time that when you lived in Lebanon? Do you you remember your childhood? Yeah, because those were the good days of Lebanon.
Yes, of course. I went to school. I speak Arabic very, very well. I know how to write and how to read Arabic. We used to live in Beirut in a place called Daura. We studied in Jaladib, in with the nuns, Saint Croix. And I remember many things. Maybe sometimes, because it's now, we left in 71, maybe sometimes it's like looking at a film that some pieces are cut, yeah. Mm-hmm. But of course, I mean, I left when I was 13, and my mom, quite Lebanese, we always speak at home Arabic and with her. And even though I get immersed in the Venezuelan and South American culture, that I'm really, really Latin with my Arabic roots, I always think I get the best of both.
You definitely did. But one thing that I have noticed when I saw you with your sister the other day, you speak Spanish together.
Yeah, because that my mother tongue changed 3 times, because it changed from Assyrian to Arabic and then from Arabic to Spanish. So Spanish is the language I dream with and I think on, and yeah.
Fantastic. Now, sometimes, because I follow you on social media, and sometimes I can hardly keep up with you because you are in so many different places and you do so many different things. I think you're a perfect representative of women and empowering women and helping women live a better life. How did that start?
Yeah, I started in the 80s, actually. I was 13 when we moved to Venezuela, and I had to stop schooling at that age and start working. So that was early 70s. So by the age of 16, 17, I was already by 19, I was a marketing manager in a small company because I started at 13. And if you follow me, I'm passionate and smart working I am. So I remember in that time in the 70s, I put myself in a commission to receive or to support refugees that were coming from other places of South America, Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay. And I remember going with these older people to receive them. They will allow them to go inside the airport to receive them when they come out of the airplane. And then I will be very much focused in family, but especially in women, because, I grew up with a widow. My mom, when she was 24, when she became a widow, she was pregnant with Layla, actually. And I always adored women, and I grew up with these women who could do everything. Like my mom could do everything. If it was a problem with electricity, she would try to fix it herself. I'm different type of woman. I take the phone and call the electrician, yeah. But but, but my mom and Layla are people hand on, plumbing. But so I always grow up with this feeling that we can do everything and anything. And yeah, so it started in the 70s in that way, and beginning of the 80s, it profiled more. So I was in different women groups, quite young, artistic, especially refugees, coming from different countries. And then it was so natural. We in South America, we start all these movement quite early, and then by early 90s, when I choose, I didn't choose, or you choose, or they choose you, when I enter into deep spiritual life and went into this practice of again, as I go from extreme to extreme. So my guru was a woman. She was one of the few women gurus in the world, Guru Mai Chitvilasananda. And I used to go to early 90s to one of her ashram in New York and do services there. And, always connected with women empowerment. And now when I think about it, I said, wow, even, and to tell you another thing, always there was always a woman who helped me to come out from any trouble. And my mom, one day we were talking about that, and she said, yes, the doctor, she was a woman who helped me in your birth. That was so complicated because I was a big baby. And she did as a doctor and as a midwife. She behaved as a midwife. She was a doctor and behaved with me also as a midwife. And it seems like this memory of women helping me to be born had persisted in my life. So I say I'm self made, but I mean I'm self made with all the help of the people who allow me to be who I am today, and many of them were women.
How beautiful. I like that a lot. And I just picked up one thing that made me really sad is that your mom was pregnant with Layla. She actually never met her dad. So shout out to Layla. That's
Yeah.
quite pretty tough. But what you were saying about women helping, I find that a little bit of a complicated subject because I know that you and I can say it about myself. We support women, we help other women, but I often hear that women don't always support each other and they are sometimes their own worst enemy. What do you think about that? Do women sometimes not support each other?
If I usually I'm a peaceful woman, but I get very annoyed when I hear this because I think really annoyed because always I am correcting it. I think it's not about women not supporting women. This is a type of personality that women or men, even we see it sometimes in children. It's like a type of personality that is self-centered, scared of competition. They are very competitive. They want to be the first and the second and the third. It's type of personality that each one of us, each personality have the bright side and the shadow side. And there is this shadow that come. And because they are people, women or men, quite focused with a system to arrive where they want, we have many of them around because they are also hardworking. And it's just that they can't, when they are in the shadow, they cannot stand people who they think is their competition, even when we're not their competition. So same thing with other personality who are like naturally leaders, but in the shadow is my way or the highway. Like there's no other way. There's no, I mean, without naming now, we in the world we have some politician in that way, don't we? So when we see a woman like this or a man like this in leadership role, because they will go, they have that natural thing. They are bold. They are, they go for it. So that part of their personality help them to go where to arrive where they arrive. But later they are scared to lose it. They are so scared to lose what they have achieved. And for some reason that didn't work out, the shadow, the trauma of the past, and they hold on it so hard, and even they become cruel, you know. But they are again wounded people who didn't solve their problem. But it's not women, it's a personality, is you can see it also in men and in women. So I have more in my life, my experience of life is that women help women naturally. Women is a mother. I didn't have my own children, but that thing of our maternity is something very beautiful that will drive us always to help, always. The one that they don't do it is because there is some complication in their personality and some wounded people who couldn't solve their issues from the past.
That is so interesting. I never looked at it like that because we don't point it out in men. We only point it out in women. But the way you just,
Oh man, oh my God, you have to.
but the way you just explained it makes a lot of sense, and it's true. It's true because it's not just women. It's just that we talk about it more when women are like that. And yes, you are
Women didn't create the war traditionally. I mean, you just
very
have to
true.
look at that fact.
Yeah, we are nurturers and we want to help each other. We want to look after each other and we want to be good to each other. I totally agree with you. I want to talk about something else with you. I want to talk with you about breathing because breathing is a big part of what you do. Or I am sure that many people who listen to us think, but I breathe. I mean, why do I learn? Why do I need to learn how to breathe? Or what would it do? What does a good breathing training involve?
I'll tell you. Look, breathing is something that we have naturally. That is the first thing that connect us with life. It's the last thing that connect us with life. It's the last thing we do before we depart from this life. So it's something so much ours that we don't understand what's the great revolution that we hold within. So breathing is the only vital function we can control at will, and in that lies its magic. When we breathe consciously, we awaken the body's innate intelligence. We regulate the nervous system. We clear emotional tension. We improve focus and we reconnect with our inner rhythm. And inner rhythm include the beauty of our personality, as we were talking before about the bright and the shadow. So when you understand the power of the breath and you go into session for conscious breathing, that we ask you to go approximately between 9 and 12 sessions, so you will learn how to take it home with you. This is the other beautiful thing about breath work. You will not depend of somebody else to do the exercise at home. Once you learn the process of the breathing process and what can happen in the body and all that, and for that we ask you the first 10 session approximately be with a professional, then it's with you the rest of your life. It's the first thing I do when I have a migraine. It's the first thing I do when I arrive to a place or when I'm in an airplane with some tension. Whatever is your helper is you, is that identity part that always can help you. So I'm going to tell you part of the benefit of conscious breathing. It calms anxiety and emotional overwhelm. It improves oxygenation and vitality. It enhances awareness and resilience, balances the automatic nervous system, release stored emotional imprint, and that for that you need a professional with you at the beginning. It supports trauma integration and healing. So again, you will need somebody to be with you in the first sessions. And if the traumas, for I talk a lot about trauma, yeah, because I'm somebody who holds so many, from orphanity to migration to abuse to getting getting out of alcoholism and chain smoking, and let's name only these now. So many time as professional breath worker, when we face that our client hold traumas beyond the practice of breath work, then we have to how to say, we have to recommend them to go to psychotherapy. So in my case and Layla's case, that we're therapists and mentors and breath worker, is a great deal for a client, yeah, because we can switch from one role to another. So if you want an exercise, easy exercise to start today with, remember, we have the nose that nature gave us to breathe. I know many of you, there is two things you do when I ask you to breathe. One, you open your mouth. And two, you close your eyes. So I go around the world telling you, keep your eyes open and breathe from the nose. Because I know that you know how to meditate and you close your eyes. But look what I want. I want you to own the conscious breathing when you're driving, when you're in a meeting, now in an interview, when you're meeting somebody new, when you're getting into a situation of detachment and saying goodbye, and you cannot close your eyes then. So keep your eyes open and use your nose unless you're totally blocked. Because remember, we use the mouth many times when we're doing sport, when we're eating, when we're talking. If you want to do it consciously, start from the nose. Inhale as gently, as deeply as you can. And guess what? Exhale from the nose. And when you think you finish the exhale a little bit more. And stop and do that, if you can, 6 times. Also, I'm going to send to Elizabeth a link so you can connect her and get a booklet I did with dear breath worker, medical doctor Ella Manga, and it's about PQ breath intelligence. And it has 10 variety about what can happen with you and the breath, and 10 exercises. So that will be your gift from today.
I will put that in the show notes so people can actually just click on it. One question now, can you do this online? Can people get in
Yeah.
touch with you and you can do these courses online? It's
Yes,
possible,
we
isn't it?
can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
So that's, anyway, we will put all your details in the show notes. But thank you for this. I'm going to, because to be honest, you are right. I always close my eyes when I do breathing exercise or when I meditate or this. But you are also very right, because you can't always close your eyes. Sometimes when you're in a difficult situation and talking to somebody, you cannot, you have to keep them open.
Yeah, you can focus on your breathing. For example, I tell you another note. I have a very good relationship with my husband, but then we are from different culture, different background, different ages, and sometimes the discussion and argument arrive from nowhere. So I had a trick. I breathe 15 times. That make it 3 minutes. When I feel I'm start to get obfuscated, can you say that? When I start
Irritated, maybe. Yeah.
so I just breathe 15 times. I know. So when these 3 minutes pass, first of all, I oxygenate my breath, and 3 minutes make me hear more. Then I didn't jump. Then then I said, okay, I have heard you for 3 minutes. Now, this and this and this is my opinion. So I used that with him. It started with him, but then I use it in other modalities, because like me, I am associated to several organizations in the world, and part of several board, and many times there is, not everybody is in agreement. We're not a golden coin that everybody will smile when they see us. So this is something I also suggest you to do. So you will be always oxygenated, and you will give your system a time, not action reaction. It's like action, breathing, integrating, and then conscious reaction.
Fascinating, not just jumping into a conversation and, then because that's how an argument starts, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
But this brings me to your book, because you gave me your book called Who Makes the Bed? And
Ha,
that
yeah.
is connected to relationships and how we should deal with each other.
Yes. Yes. Well, that book was the second book. The first one was this one, Reading the Rhythm of Success, that was done in the 90s. And that first one was about breathwork. In that time, we were pioneering. As I told you, 80s and 90s, we were pioneering. Before, you couldn't hear about personal vision, personal mission. It was military, diplomacy, religious. So we started all these movements, so beautiful, about we have a personal vision, we have a purpose, we can have a mission and a vision. So it's all about those exercises that get us there, and work about the thought. What is it that doesn't allow us to go where we want to go? And then it was really a great achievement back then, because 90 was difficult to publish book. I'm always grateful. Jose Luis, wherever you are in the world, my editor back then, thank you so much for your trust. And then I had started another book called The Alchemy of Emotions, actually. And then it occurred to me to fall in love, to get married, to change country, to all these things that take a lot of time and energy. And that project stayed in some place. And then I didn't write for a while until like 2016. Some of the magazine or newspaper asked us to write about conscious relationship, me and Michael. So for a year, every week, we write an article of 1,000 words. I mean, honestly, that was a challenge. And then after that year, with all this material, I thought, no, I'm going to put it in a book. So I select some of these articles, include the last book, and put them together. And then we were doing a book about a conscious relationship. And back then, I had a friend that is not in my world anymore. And she said, oh, conscious relationship is boring, must be thousands of books with that title. She said, no, talk to me about your relationship, you and Michael. And then we started talking. In some moment, I told her that Michael, how you say, does the bed every morning as an engineer that he is, like perfect. And I used to, one day, I used to change the sheets quite frequently. We're Venezuelan, it's tropical, we like showers 2, 3 times a day and changing the sheet. And one day he asked me, why do you change the sheets so frequently when we start living together? And I told him, you know what? You make the bed and I change the sheets, and we're going to be okay, both of us. And then she said, this is the title of the book, Who Makes the Bed? Because it's like representing all the agreement, as you know, because you have a long marriage, all the agreement that we have to do in a relationship so it works, because we're so different. We're so different, many of us. So how it works? Through agreement, through listening, through communication, through pause, through breathing, but conscious agreement. So that's the idea of this book. And after every chapter, there is a poem that Michael wrote to me in some moment of our lives, or to me, or to nature. And yeah, so the book came out in 2017.
This is so beautiful. And I so agree with, because, I'm married to a man from Cyprus. I'm from Switzerland. That's the two different worlds. And you are a whole other mixture. And but I think if you really want it to work, it can work. Okay, of course, if there is infidelity or if there is violence, that's a different story. Those don't work for me. But everything else, I believe, with a little bit of respect, a lot of discussion and breathing that we learned now, you can work things out.
Yeah, and space for the differences. And especially, I'm sure you're going through that now because we're almost same age. And then, relationship go to several stages. When children start coming is another stage. When children leave is another stage. And aging, like, come on, aging is such a stage to be in a relationship. We we're not the person you used to be in a way, but sometimes when you think about it, we're the person we used to be, but more acute in some of our characteristic. And if it's joyful, it's okay. But if that are a characteristic that used to annoy you, and now it's so acute, oh my goodness, you have to live with that. So yeah, it is a challenge, but it's beautiful challenge.
I agree, absolutely agree. And we're keeping that challenge going for as long as we possibly can. Tell me now, changing the subject, you travel a lot. You go to a lot of conferences. I see you out and about all the time. What is your favorite conference or your favorite organization? That's a bit of a difficult question because you don't want to insult any of the others. But what do you like most when wherever you go?
Respect. I really go. I get out of organization as quick as I get out of any relationship when I feel or unrespected or I see that they are not respecting somebody in front of me. So I had that rule in my life that if I see an injustice happening to somebody, I know it's going to happen to me later in life. And now that I'm 66, life proved me that. So if in the past I thought, I can stay a little bit longer, I'm special. Now I learn nobody is special. When a person is unconscious or an abuser, that can be in a relationship or in an organization, is going to be with you too. So I think my favorite organization is that one that is respectful, that is clear in their ethic code, that they don't change the ethic code and talk about ethic code because it's convenient today. And like many of us, that we have organizations that we grow together with our people. And my less favorite one is the one that are victimized, that are accusing other of taking this or taking that and hallucinating about who's taking their show, and those are my least favorite. And in the middle, I love all. I collaborate with them, and especially I know how to do events. I have done some in my life. Like before leaving Venezuela, we did 1 week event, breathwork, sponsored by the IBF, International Breathwork Foundation. And we had for 1 week 207 people from 30 countries in a year that we have a coup d'etat in Venezuela. And it was a beautiful conference. So, and then I did some here in Cyprus, but I really, really don't like to do events. It's one of the things I don't like to do. So you see me supporting my friend around the world because event is something very difficult to do and to build up. And it's a huge investment, energy, money. So I think I really like, how do you say, bow for these people who create these network and these things. So usually I enter support in whatever I can do. And yeah, and I think our life in some organization, it's like relationship. We enter, we do our best, but some relationship has a beginning, a development, and an end. And if we read that well, we can live on time. If not, something gonna kick us out. Life will help us to get out. And other relationship, like some friends we have for 40 years, for 30 years, we don't see them some years, but it's always good. It's always learning, generosity flow. So I think organizations are like that, are representation of people. So I go nowadays as a speaker. Um, Many times I'm invited as a speaker. Sometimes I go to support some of my friends that are starting. Or, for example, I have a dear friend, Veronica Sosa, that she started in 2016. I'm her mentor, and I go to every event she does because this is my duty. It's like she's my mentee. It's like in a way, is like duty with your own children when you go to all their celebration. I'm part of I'm a partner of Creative Women Platform. So between Olga and me, we go to almost all, and sometimes she goes to one and I go to another one. And then I represent, I'm executive board member of GPBA, which is the Global Professional Breathwork Alliance. I'm an ambassador of IBF, International Breathwork Foundation. I'm the president of Global Mentoring Network. So, of course, I have to go to those events. And the president now of Sustainable Art and Fashion Academy. So, and the honorary president of Charity on Wheel, that we have a program for women in prison in India, and we work with Fashion for a Cause. And then there is this other organization called Loani, created by dearest Caroline Makaka and started in 2016, and now in 68 countries. So, of course, whatever I can do now, they are meeting in Kenya. I will not be able to be there because I'm family holidays. And then I have representation like we do, Women Entrepreneurship Day organization. Me and Janice, we are co-ambassadors, and every year we do an event here. Many years, the High Commission of India had supported us. Thank you again. So, so I end being in several events, or I'm co-organizer, or I'm supporting somebody, or I'm a speaker. So now I just finished a tour of 3 months, 8 countries, including India and Japan. So in Japan, I was working with, it was women in tech. Imagine me dyslexic and so slow in technology, but I was with women in tech and I'm learning. I really, really like these women so much. Ayumi, the one who created this 7 years ago. So I had a workshop for many of the women. They were there about personality type, shadow and bright side and shadow type. In India, I was invited to be part of an educative program. And then also I was working with, I had a conference with doctors, neurosurgeon doctors, who were talking about neurotrauma. And my subject was trauma after the trauma, the unseen wound, which is the psychological wound. So, as I am in the mental health and emotional well-being, my subject fit everywhere. And then every year I go to, for 6 years now, I go to Davos, to World Economic Forum, because I'm in a mission to take mental health and emotional well-being everywhere. It should be in the table everywhere. And actually, I don't mind who's going to make it. I just want it to be done. And same, I go to Paris Peace Forum, and I go to several places, that not necessarily as a speaker, but as an influencer for many events, to be able to talk about that, keep going about the same subject that I started years ago.
Wow. I think all those people who are supported by you are very blessed to have you. And there is one thing that I picked out, what you said at the beginning. I think that if people talk to you badly about somebody else, they will talk badly about you to somebody one day. And I think this is one thing that I have learned. So people who talk badly about other people should be avoided. That's the bottom line.
Yes, that. And when you see injustice, like the way how they shout at somebody, accuse somebody that is not, they are having a bad day.
Yeah.
I mean, Elizabeth, we have the duty to heal our neurosis. Of course, we had issues in our life. Like, look at me, look at you. The other day when I heard your story, I was like, wow. But we can't keep going. I'm an orphan. I'm that was part of our past. Okay, we talk about it as part of, we don't hide it, it's part of us, but we cannot just hide and justify wrong action, unethical action, cruel action because I passed through that. It's not good enough. It's not. No, you go and solve it. You go and solve yourself. Or if it escaped from you, that behavior one day, because we're human, you apologize immediately and you amend it. You don't justify it and make the other person to feel guilty of what you just did wrong. So I think as leaders, as as people creating network and all that we need to heal ourselves, because we're influencers. And okay, it's not doesn't mean that I have to be perfect to start a network, but who used to say that all the time, Hellenic. In some areas, I'm a finished product, and in some other areas, I'm a product in process. So, of course, sometimes it goes wrong, or you step on the foot of somebody else, you apologize quickly, quickly.
Immediately, absolutely agree. Now, before I let you go, because the 40 minutes are nearly over, but I want to know from you, which is your favorite part of the world, geographically, not when it comes to conferences? Where do you like to go, and where do you go for fun? Do you travel for fun, or do you travel so much for work that you stay in your beautiful part of the island when you're home?
Yeah, I think I love South America a lot. I think it's one. I don't know if it's my favorite because we've been migrants so many times, and I did suffer a lot from that, but I healed that. I work a lot, a lot. And later I learned how to say that it's not about only about roots, it's about wings. And one day, if you can read that book, there is a book called Origin by a Lebanese, Amin Malouf. And in that book starts saying, we're not tree. We don't die when they cut our roots. And I add to that, I add to that, we can take our origin wherever we go, and we can expand it. Nowadays, I represent Cyprus in many places for awards. I go with the name of Cyprus. This is where it's home. So there is something particular on me. It's my capacity of adaptability. So last year I went to Mexico after like 30 years, and the year before I went to Argentina. And I think when I'm in that part of the world, I feel so much belonging. It's like there is something so much mine. Could be could be the language industry, it could be the rhythm. So it's just is I wish everybody explores South America. So I think, but of course, I just was in Japan and I adore to be there. And when I go to India, it's like, oh, then for first time I was in Berlin. Now I like it. So it seems like because I like people, I can identify very quickly with places, and I can many times I feel like, oh, I can live here. Oh, I can live here. So yeah, I answering it will be South America, not one specific country. Of course, Venezuela of my heart is so amazing, but all these other countries are is like all this part of the continent is quite wonderful, colorful, the rhythm, the people, because we're mixed raced. This country receives so many people, foreigner from different part of the world. So it's like a melange of not only physical beauty, but physical that beautiful behavior, beautiful food, beautiful color. It's quite amazing, this part of the world.
Oh, I feel you. I feel exactly the same. I kind of feel at home anywhere I go, and because of people, because I love people. And I think this is a perfect ending to this beautiful podcast episode. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today. Thank you, Viola Edward, for being on Most Memorable Journeys.
Thank you for inviting me, and that we were waiting for that for a while.
If you enjoy my podcast, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. You will find all the information in the show notes.